And now we're going to hear from Carmelo Anthony as he gives another dynamic of how the Allen Iverson effect on the league in the early 2000s, just him being that rock star and having so much influence and in a way so much power over that Philadelphia 76ers organization, that a head coach like Larry Brown, who came from the old hierarchy, did not want that aura around so much that it affected certain Team USA selections. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Try to understand the game in the industry, because it's a lot of bullshit that goes on in the industry.
Yeah.
And AAU, just that whole, it's a lot of bullshit. And there's more and more bullshit that's coming into the game with money, NIL. You know what I'm saying? People who think people can say that they can get this, they can get that. Everything be looking good to niggas these days. So it's like at the end of the day, understanding the landscape of the game. Because when you start moving around, it gets muddy.
Yeah.
It gets nasty.
Like moving around as far as like different organizations,
Different teams, cities, just playing with anybody, just, you know what I mean? That shit gets muddy. Kids could be in the portal. And there you.
Yeah.
Damn, that's how much power these kids have. What is a coach really going to tell a kid with all that talent? He's scared to lose him, don't want to say too much for him to just transfer out. And the same thing would apply in college. So it's a complete different dynamic than what Shaq just talked about, with him not being used to talking back to head coaches from high school to college.
Right away.
That's crazy.
But that shit fun though. Like it is fun though. You know, I know a lot of people talk about the negative shit about it. It's a lot of fun seeing these kids hoop and play, especially if you have a son that's, you know what I mean, that's hooping and playing. It makes the experience that much better.
And now Melo and Amare Stoudemire speak on Larry Brown and some of that Allen Iverson aura that he tried to avoid during the Team USA trials.
The minute I knew what type of environment that was going to be was when they got suspended in Florida.
Yeah.
And for being a minute early.
Wait,
right?
so what? Wait, what happened?
Let's walk with me.
Okay.
Walk with me. Say it's a meeting at 2 p.m.
Okay.
You get there at 1:57. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The meeting starts at 1:55. Right? Now you get suspended. We about to go play Puerto Rico. Right? In Jacksonville.
Right.
We coming to me and he like, you ain't playing. You ain't playing.
Wow.
And you ain't playing.
Wow.
But mind you, we just had we just got together for like a week and a half.
Right.
But mind you, we like, shit, we get to play against Puerto Rico.
And we home in the U.S.
And he's home in Florida.
I'm in Florida. So family in town, you know what I'm saying?
And you ain't know about the suspension until
it was
before
him.
tip.
It was you, AI,
and Bron.
Really?
You talk about the three biggest names at this point in time. You talk about AI, who was damn near the face of the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the face of the world in basketball, champ.
Right.
You got this young rookie of the year, you know what I'm saying, stat, and then you got Bron, who's the next.
It was about to be rookie of the year.
Facts. Those guys had a lot of power at that time. Amare Stoudemire, fresh out of high school, rookie of the year. LeBron about to be the next up to do the same thing. And then you got Allen Iverson, who's ushering in that aura, that energy of just the organization looking at the superstar holding a lot of power over the coach. This is truly the beginning of that intersection where the coaches of the old guard started to realize that their power was either on the equal level of a superstar or just beginning to slide below it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he wasn't about to be rookie of the year.
He was already.
He already was. Yeah.
You understand? He wasn't about to be rookie of the year.
Understood.
But I'm just saying, like, now you have this ready to go, and then you made a statement. And I respect the statement that you made, and you stood on it, right? And as you get older, you start, okay, I understand. If you on time, then you late. I get all of that.
I get that. Yeah.
But don't start the meeting early. But that's what happened.
Because we getting taped. We actually in the training room getting taped and getting ready for practice. And so we get our bags and we rush over to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we are early. We're there like a few minutes early. So we're thinking we're good.
Right.
It's like, you ain't playing. Like, what? What do you mean we're not playing?
But you wasn't
Larry
inside.
Brown
Y'all wasn't inside the room. We was inside the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like, who's not here?
And then we come
Allen?
walking in.
Amare, and Bron. Now, mind you, the relationship between Allen and Larry at this point in time
Already shaky.
is shaky.
Yeah.
And Larry don't want to deal with that shit with Allen no more. He just dealt with it for 6 years.
And I'm sure AI don't want to deal with Larry
He
shit
like, I'm
either.
sick of this nigga too. Like, I'm sick. But now you got a young guy in Amare coming up who's energetic, who's, you know what I mean? He's rowdy. And you're like, oh, no. We got to make a statement. And that's when I knew shit was actually real. But we played after that. You know what I mean? We went on the road, went to Turkey, went off.
So you think?
And we was the young guns.
So you think he just took?
It was a statement. It was a statement.
It was a statement. It really was pointing at Allen though.
Yeah.
Playing the right way.
Because it's like, I'm not doing this no more.
Casualty of war.
Listen, I'm hanging out with AI and Bron. I'm like, we getting taped up. We have a conversation, and we heading over to practice before the time was required. So I figure we're not late. We on time. You know what I'm saying? I'm 21, and so I'm like, on time is good. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And you with a vet, you with somebody, I can see where you're coming from, where you're like, all right, I'm good. We all coming at the
Basically,
same time.
I'm hearing he was a casualty of war.
Huh?
Y'all, you and Bron just was with the wrong person.
No, it was,
what it sound like.
it was that, but it was more layered than that. And as I didn't realize it then, but as I got time to reflect on that time, you realize, okay, it wasn't a casualty of war.
Yeah.
It was setting the tone.
Okay.
AI, you the guy.
Right.
And I
You
coach
leading, you leading Amare,
Right.
who's a young guy, rookie of the year, who's trying to. You also leading LeBron James,
You can't. Yeah.
right? So I have to set the tone and let LeBron know that's not allowed.
Right.
It wasn't about him. He probably had a little shit in there, but I gotta set the tone on AI
Right.
that I'm not gonna allow you to influence LeBron that
James.
way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was multi-layered.
Man, it was already too late for Larry Brown to get on that tip. The way LeBron James came into the NBA, he had so much power. It was almost instant access. Here's the keys to the Cavs franchise, off rip. And that aura was so strong that they gave the same keys to Carmelo Anthony, especially him coming off that successful campaign out in Syracuse, winning the national championship. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Just 6 years before all this happened, Kobe Bryant came into the NBA and he had to fight and earn his spot on the team. I believe Eddie Jones was a shooting guard that started before Kobe Bryant. But just that 6-year difference, it makes you wonder, with the same skill set, the same hype coming out of high school, had Kobe Bryant been drafted in 2003, would he had started?
Yeah.
Which is why he said, Allen, I'm not dealing with that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's how it's kicked off.
Right.
I mean, do you
And then we
think?
get to Turkey, and then we get over here, we busting their ass. Like,
Yeah.
put us in the game, we down 16, we coming back.
Right.
Young guns. The crowd is yelling young guns in the
Right.
crowd.
Right.
And we get to Olympics, and it's like, the rest is history.
It's wild.
They brought him on the team because Garnett backed out.
I remember that.
It was between him and Garnett. Garnett's spot was solidified because they played on the team in Puerto Rico,
Right.
and they all backed out. Because again, it was war around the world at that time. So everybody was like, nah, I ain't fucking with it. I ain't going no. I'm like, shit, we out. Hell yeah, I'm going. Put me in there with the bombs and shit. I don't know. Shit.
Right.
We walked outside.
Yeah.
We got in trouble on the boat
Yeah.
for leaving the boat. Larry Brown said, you can't leave the boat. Nobody leave the boat.
Damn, Larry Brown ran a tight ass ship over there.
He
Felt like
literally a tight ship.
Ran a tight ship.
Say, yo, Stat, yo, we out. He like,
Damn.
word? Yo, we out. Where we going? Downtown Athens.
Right.
We was in Athens, Greece, just outside.
kicking it.
Fuck it.
So right there, where you see Larry Brown beginning to react as he's noticing all the power that these guys are coming into the league with and how much say-so they're having in the front offices. And again, we're going to get some more of the dynamics that was taking place around this time as Carmelo Anthony began to clash once again with his second head coach, George Karl. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
The minute that I knew we wasn't gonna work out, or we was gonna have issues, the first day he got the job. He got the job a couple days before we played Milwaukee Bucks. So the whole thing was, I'm not coaching no game. My first game I wanted to be against Milwaukee Bucks. Cool, go back home. They fucked you over there. I know the business. I know the game at the, and I really don't know the game when he came to the team. I'm 21 now. All I know, I got a big name coach coming. George Karl, Coach Milwaukee, Coach Seattle, Gary Payton. You know what I mean? All of that.
And George Karl had a big name player on his hands too, Carmelo Anthony, coming off the same hype draft class as LeBron James, and he also won the national tournament. So Melo had a lot of pull coming into the NBA, and he low-key was the rookie of the year. The Nuggets went from no man's land to making the playoffs as soon as Melo got there, and that was in the Western Conference. But Melo, once again, he clashed with his previous head coach, so George Karl was the second man coming in, and he was from the old school. And we're about to see the hierarchy clash, but this time around in the mid-2000s, it already began skewing in the star player's favor.
Get to Milwaukee after shoot-around, call me to his room and tell me, hey, man, like, I think you overrated. Like, you have a lot of work.
Yo, that's crazy.
Now, head coaches from the past, this is how they used to motivate their players. But stars today, they're so used to being pampered, they don't want to get motivated like this. Phil Jackson has a lot of scenarios that played out the same way with Kobe Bryant, and he did this in front of the media. He criticized Kobe's post game. Then Kobe had a season where he came in and he did nothing but post-up moves to start off the year. So the coaches of the past used to use this as a tactic to motivate players. That same exact clash happened when Phil Jackson got to New York. He tried to motivate Melo in the same way, but Melo wasn't getting it. And when George Karl called Carmelo Anthony overrated, he wasn't talking about on some regular season trying to get into the playoffs overrated. He was talking about he's overrated to be a championship level player, which he really could be.
Yo. Hey, George Karl, watch your fucking mouth, man. Hey, pick your head up.
No, he started that narrative though, like the defensive narrative. But I'm gonna get to that point. The first shoot around, he come to me and say, like, look, man, I think you overrated. We have a lot of work to do. I know I ain't, you know what I mean? I know I got a lot of work. I got a long way to go in this league. But my nigga,
You just got it.
you just got here. Like, you ain't asking no questions of like, who's who, what's what, what's going on, what's the vibe, individual meetings with every player to introduce yourself. You ain't do none of that yet. You called me. Told me I was overrated.
That's crazy that Melo just thought in his head, George Karl just got there. George Karl spent the early 90s being a 60-win team at the top of the Western Conference with the Seattle Supersonics, and he got to the finals. The reality is, Carmelo Anthony, no, you just got here.
All right. So yeah, you remind me of, I see your role on this team being, you're more like Detlef Strength.
Bro, nah, get the fuck
No,
out.
this is where it's born. This is a fact.
Now, once again, George Karl is saying these things in terms of being a championship team. Melo's role would be very similar to LaShrimp's. He averaged about 19 points a game on a 60-plus win, top of the Western Conference team, and they got to the finals. Had Melo joined the Miami Heat, he would be in LaShrimp's role. The defense that D. Wade and LeBron James play and how proficient they are in the offensive end, that would make Melo the third guy.
Not the fuck Detlef Schrempf. Disrespectful, yo. Nah, bro, I would have punched that nigga right there, bro. You gotta stop.
This is real.
Detlef
Listen, bro, and because I was a student of the game up at this
Yo,
point,
Melo, stop it, bro.
I couldn't shit on Detlef Strength because I know his game.
I fuck with Detlef,
fuck
bro.
with
Yeah,
but at that moment, you made me look at Detlef Strength a lot different. Like every time he come, why you compare me to this nigga? Like,
Yeah.
I fuck with Detlef though. So it's why you put me in that? You made me look at this nigga different. So our relationship from that point on has always started off under the impression that I was overrated, that he was going to teach me and mold me into the player that he wanted to be. So at the point in time, I said, you know what, man? Yo, thank you, man. Welcome to the team. And I left out. He probably was expecting some type of other energy. I started laughing. Yo, call JR, Kmart. Yo, man, you ain't gonna believe what this nigga just told me, man. Nigga talking about Detlef Strength. They did that. That same shit. Yo. I said, yo, meet me in the lobby. We go to the bar downstairs. Went to the bar. JR, everybody came. They crying. You can hear these niggas laughing in the elevator in the Milwaukee hotel.
Now, the reaction tells you a lot. Instead of Melo asking him, why does he think that way? And how could he get to the next level? You see, with the accolades Melo got in college, and just the whole AAU circuit beginning to build up as he made his way into the NBA and just having the hype around LeBron, a lot of these guys came into the league with a very individual mindset instead of looking at the game from a team perspective. Melo could have asked, you guys were at the top of the Western Conference consistently, getting 60 wins in multiple seasons, and you got to the finals to go up against Jordan. How can I get up to that level? But once again, Melo came into the league with way too much pull. And this was a new reality for George Karl to deal with, but coaches from his era had a very tough time in that transition. Jerry Salone, Mike Brown, Phil Jackson with Kobe in 2003, 2004, Dwight Howard and Stan Van Gundy, also Shaq with Stan Van Gundy. All these clashes happened around the same time that Melo is speaking about right here.
Yo, nigga call you that little shrimp. They killing me. He started calling you shrimp.
I was so
championship.
mad that next day in the game. I was tight. So yo, I'm shooting this bitch every time. Like, I know how, because I also respected him as a coach up until that point.
Right.
Because I knew, the first thing you said to me, I wanted, this game is the most important game of this season. I said, oh yeah, I know what type of time this nigga is. So that started our rockiness. So by the time it get to the point of me leaving, we don't have no dialogue. Like we don't have communication. We don't have conversations.
Right.
He just an old school coach, walk past you, don't acknowledge. We talk about the nod or the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Which is why I took that stance of not giving a fuck if you acknowledge me or not, because I've been through that. It's rule for conversation for anybody that I had issues with, because I want to know what your true issue is. You never explained to me what the issue was with me.
Yeah,
Only thing you said was, I like shooting more than I like playing defense.
Which is facts. You can see it play out through Melo's whole career. But George Karl's main issue was the level of power that Melo had, and management probably pushing back against George Karl, trying to reprimand Melo's game, trying to tailor it in a proper way where his team can get up to that next level. That's the fucking difference.
Narrative. Because you was a major coach. You was a big name coach. You was powerful. So whatever you say was golden, especially you came and took on this team that we had, right? You got this job because it was very intentional of bringing you here. This team that you came to coach really needed a nigga at the helm to coach us. We were thugs out, like, you know what I mean? Like we was rocking
Young
out.
wild niggas.
We was the Beatles in a sense. Like we were just wild niggas out there, right? But we all cared about winning and we all looked out for each other.
That part I'm gonna have to disagree with. Yes, they cared about winning, but it seems like it was up until a certain point. George Karl, once again, he came into the situation, the Nuggets being in the Western Conference, he was already at the top of that helm consistently in the 90s. And this is going up against all-time Hall of Famers within that conference and even making numerous deep playoff runs against those guys. So George Karl's resume was not some bullshit just to scoff at. And Melo at the time, he really could have used him as a cheat code. But unfortunately for the two, the intersection between the coach's power and the superstar's power began to intersect and actually go in the superstar's favor. This right here was the beginning of the era of the NBA that we see today. High draft picks coming into the league and instantly being handed the keys to the Ferrari.
You trying to break all of this up that we have, we ain't letting you do that, which is why Kmart have to feel the way that he feels about you today. JR feels the way about you that he feels today. Marcus Camby feels the way that all of these guys that we played, on the same team, they feel this way about you. Gary Payton feel this way. Sean Kemp feel this way. Ray Allen feels this way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only person out of all of those people that you ever loved or liked was Anthony Mason, God bless the dead.
Yeah.
You ain't fuck with Sam Cassell. You say you ain't like his game. He shot too much. He cared about shooting the ball. This is shit that was coming to me. Big dog Glenn Robinson, I hated coaching him. This is shit that he would say.
So he hated buckets.
Listen, so look.
He wanted this?
Look, it came down to a point where I was so hot at one point in time. And I'm trying to talk to like niggas that he coached and Sean Kemp and GP and, just guys that he coached. Somebody came up to me one day and said, man, yo, how you and George? I said, man, this motherfucker getting on my nerves. He said, yeah, man. He never liked stars. And I said, oh shit, right?
Yep, it makes total sense. He never liked stars because it's a team game. That Michael Jordan effect really changed the way the game was even perceived from an organizational standpoint. It was already beginning to change in the 80s with Magic and Larry Bird, but the league went from promoting teams to eventually, after Michael Jordan, just promoting the star. And that's where they seen their most marketing success and the influx of money coming in. So that does have an effect in the organizations, and even with the front office people who are not necessarily basketball people, just the way they perceive the game and who they give the power to. And in this case, they gave the power to Melo, and he could easily get George Karl fired.
And it put me back into a conversation that I had with George when he was like, yeah, I played with the Spurs back in the day and on that ABA team, and I was a role player to George Gervin, right? He hated George Gervin, hated playing with George Gervin because George Gervin wouldn't pass him the ball. So I say, now I'm doing the knowledge on the shit. Hold up, man. Hold up.
Now you got the missing piece of the puzzle.
Nah, this is why. So I go and ask him, like, you was mad. You was always mad at George Gervin, huh? He was like, yeah, hey, I didn't like it. I hated playing with him. He shot the ball too much. He just didn't care about his teammates. And I'm like, that's how you see me, don't you? He's like, y'all resemble a little bit. That's the last conversation I had with you. And that was that. So anything that came from George was him feeling the way because I wasn't communicating with you. Right. At that point, I ain't got nothing to talk to you about. I care about my guys. We gonna go try to win this shit. You do what you do. You gonna be the coach though. We ain't gonna not let you coach. You coaches. You wanna hold us accountable, hold us accountable. But the dumb shit when you go to the media and you start throwing jabs out there knowing I'm not a media nigga.
Yeah.
I ain't talking to the media about you. I ain't saying shit about you.
Now, to a degree, George Karl could have held some resentment, but for the most part, if Phil Jackson can go in front of the media and make small critiques about Michael Jordan and he changes his game, the players coming in behind him has to ask themselves, who the fuck are we not to do the same?
Timing is everything. When that time comes for you to take them bullets, I hope your vest is strong enough to take those bullets. I saved you a lot of times. I walked into the office and said, get this man a 5-year, $26 million contract. Kiki Vandeweghe and those guys come to me, Melo, should we sign him to the extension? Yeah, why not?
Look at the power difference. Sheesh. The head coach who was at the top of the Western Conference with multiple NBA Hall of Famers competing against them year in, year out in their primes, and multiple 60-win seasons made the NBA Finals. They gotta ask a rookie player who's barely been out of the first round, should they renew his contract? You can see where a lot of the resentment comes from. Once again, George Karl comes from that school of coaches where the hierarchy was the coaches first and then the superstar.
You sure? Yeah, why not? I ain't gonna stop that. I'm gonna sign that man. Give him 26. Don't give him 25.
Damn. The front office said, are you sure? That's crazy. Asking a young player who has yet to prove anything, are you sure? George Karl's resume, even at that point, was just way too deep. And you start to see why the resentment is just there.
What is a $26 million 5-year deal?
Yeah.
Make it 26, throw him an extra M on that. Like, I would never knock that. I just don't fuck with you because of the shit that you try to do in the media and you try to get the media
Right.
against me. I don't fuck with that.
So I ain't gonna take food out of your mouth.
I ain't
but
gonna take
fuck
food
with
out
you.
of your mouth. We know we couldn't get no sucker coach though.
Right.
A sucker coach couldn't handle them personalities out there. So we needed a strong-willed coach.
Right.
Somebody who was, had experience but we knew he never won. Right? So that was the argument with a lot of the older players. Like, yo, you treating niggas like this, you ain't never, you never did it. First 20 games or some shit, he took over. We was losing like early in the season.
And Melo, you gotta admit what really happened. You beefed with your first head coach. That's the reason why the switch was made.
When he took over, I think we lost like 5 games after the All-Star break or something. We had the best record in the NBA. So the hype was real when he came. You get what I'm saying? Oh, they got the coach that they need, and he got him right. He got Melo playing the right way. all of the narratives and shit. So we dealing with that. So he started early in my career. He didn't come later. He came my second year. So I have to grow with this. I had every single day, like, I don't know what the narrative is coming to the gym.
When you showed that picture of you with, when M threw up that picture of you with George Carl.
That was at the end.
I was like, the only picture.
You see the uniform, so that's the new uniform that they changed, and they're starting to change the culture.
I was like, yo, the only picture that I seen that's worse than that is a picture of Steph Marbury and Larry Brown. Steph is on the bench, and Larry's like talking to him, and Steph got the towel over his head, and you could tell, he's a Brooklyn nigga, you could tell the energy. He was like, man, shut the fuck up.
The difference with that was Steph was checked out. Like, Steph already committed and said, you know what? I ain't going nowhere. Give me my money. Y'all ain't buying me out. Fuck all of that. Give me all my money.
And Steph was Steph.
And Steph was Steph.
At that point.
At that point. So it's a big difference. When that picture that you see me and George was more of PR trying to figure, yo, we gotta get you. We gotta make it, like, we gotta have y'all have a conversation together and make the people understand, like, y'all together. That was the PR play with that picture right
Y'all
there.
totally failed the PR play. Though.
Damn.
I don't know who was the PR.
Who was the PR person?
But I'm just saying, like,
they're like, George, act like you just got hit by a truck.
Prior to this picture was a meeting that me and George just came from.
That's crazy.
That me and him had a conversation. Yo, what are we gonna do?
That's like the video.
So we gonna go out and everybody, the media is out there and it's like, oh yeah, we just had a conversation and
keep it peace.
All conversations, it was never no substance behind conversations. It was never no meaning behind anything that he ever said. When I come to the room, we have a meeting, it's none of that shit. It's, oh, what we gonna do tomorrow, man? How y'all wanna play? It's what's the offense? It's X's and O's.
Right.
And I'm young, so I don't need you to talk to me, bro. Like, but I want you to because you're the head coach, and I still need to learn this game, and I still need to learn how to do certain shit. So if me and you ain't on the same page as the white hat, when you got beef between the big and the point, that put the ring in jeopardy. You get what I'm saying? So that right there was putting us in a lot of jeopardy from being able to take the next level, to taking that next step, because that eliminated trades, that eliminated bringing people at, pieces that we needed on the team, because you wanted to seem like, I ain't letting Melo make decisions over here. I don't want to make no decisions. If they come to me, I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm not going to the front office saying, make this trade.
I want this, yeah.
No, but if you ask me my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. And George ain't like that they was coming to me and not him. So he tried to pull a fast move and try to be the GM and the coach. Mm-hmm. Because this was Popovich and Doc Rivers and all of them was starting to take that role, like security. You can find me as a coach. I can't find myself, basically.
Right.
So he wanted that role, that power. And it was just like, yo, bro, if y'all make this man the GM and the coach,
it seems like George Karl already understood the power dynamics, and he was trying to build a fence, a wall of power around him, at least that he could control some of the dynamics of the team. Because Melo, at the end of the day, even with George Karl being a GM, he still had more power. That's when the shift really started to happen. Tom Thibodeau, in a way, when he went to Minnesota, he tried to do the same thing, getting Jimmy Butler, but you clearly saw how Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins had more say-so because they were not willing to sign their extensions with Thibodeau still being there. So it's almost as if those old school coaches trying to do the GM and coaching role is their last grasp to maintaining their power.
This type of team we have and these players, everybody is out of here because there's no negotiation at that point.
Just a lot of picks.
A lot of picks. So
picks.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Joe. He know this, but he knows this because we had a conversation when I played with the Knicks and we played Denver and Denver came in for the first time. We had this conversation. He pulled me up, yo, I want to see Melo in the back. Walk to the back.
Wasn't there a fight in that game?
That was when he was with Denver. He punched Marty Collins in the face.
Come on.
Melo that season, he was very raw coming into the NBA. That's something that doesn't get talked about too much. He got caught with the weed at the airport. He was in that questionable music video when he was just visiting his neighborhood, but they used the footage in a stop snitching video. He still was also hanging around with a bunch of people from his old neighborhood. And even the former commissioner, David Stern, had to sit down with Melo and ask him, Are you in the streets or are you in the NBA? Yeah, the Brandon Melo that we see today, probably with the help of his wife, Lala Anthony, who has a lot of experience within the media, helped craft his more polished image that we see today. Now we're going to fast forward to a more recent scenario, this time taking place in 2024, when former Hornets coach Steve Clifford had called out some of his players on being nonchalant on defense. And a lot of the entertainment side is starting to spill over onto the NBA court, especially with the addition of LaMelo Ball and his play style. So in this situation right here, we're seeing exactly how it is when a head coach doesn't necessarily have any power to change the bad habits of a team. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Let's be honest. I mean, it's why I was brought here, and to this point, I have failed pretty miserably, is we don't care enough about defense all the time. We're better than we were in some ways, but like we're what do they say? We're a sometimes team. Sometimes we run back, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we care about guarding the ball, sometimes we don't. When the ball starts going in the basket, a lot of times we don't care about defense anymore. You'll never win. You might win games, you might have a decent year here and there. You'll never win. You'll never win a playoff series. You probably wouldn't win a playoff game. Those are the teams that get to the end of the year, and if they're talented enough to get to a playoff series, guess what? They get their asses kicked. You've got to defend in the NBA. There's never been a team, never, that's been good and had a playoff run that wasn't good defensively. And it's just, that's fact. I mean, look at every single year. Now, there have been teams that struggled offensively, going all the way back, and were really good on defense at one. But we've got to get that, and that's got to be a big, big part of what we do. Last year, the one thing I felt good about was, we had a stretch of 20 games after the All-Star break where we were second in defense. They bought in, we took it to the next level, and for whatever reason, we have not gotten anywhere close to that this year. But we've got whatever we have here, these 4 games left, then we can refresh a little bit and start again. This, trying to outscore people, it may be fun and fans might like to watch it, it'll never work. It doesn't, just give me a team in the last 10 years, it never works. Those are the teams that get to the playoffs and you say, oh, we got to make some adjustments. It's not going to work. If you're not playing playoff basketball all year, guess what? And it's 4 out of 7, it's too late. So we might as well learn that now, before they get older.
Now that right there is a head coach with no power at all. Steve Clifford, unfortunately, even admits that the no defense play style, even though it's making teams money, it's not going to win. And as more new NBA owners come into the league, buying these teams for billions and billions of dollars, you have to wonder if they're not going to necessarily care if the valuation of the team keeps going up and they're barely winning any games and the money's still rolling in. A lot of the bad cultural habits that young players have coming into the league before they get polished is not being checked at the door. Carmelo Anthony even spoke on this because as of recently, it's gotten so unchecked that players at halftime are on their phones posting on social media. DeMar DeRozan spoke to Carmelo Anthony about the major cultural shifts that had happened while he was in the league from the beginning of his career to the middle to present day. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
What's the biggest difference you've noticed in players today compared to when you came in the league in 09?
Motherfuckers getting on their phone, so worried about what's on their phone, what somebody say. Even to this point, I seen a motherfucker put his name in the Twitter search to see what they were saying.
Oh, vanity search.
Damn, that's crazy.
Somebody who's actually playing them,
Playing.
They was like getting minutes.
Yes. And I'm like, this to the point we at, you know what I mean? Like that was never a thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we
even for you, that wasn't a thought. Even worse for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm
had
saying.
cell phones and shit.
Niggas, like no social media, none of that.
Niggas weren't checking their two-way pages and all that.
But to that point, it's that. Like motherfuckers always ask me, like, man, you can play another 4 or 5 years.
Shit.
But it's that part of the game that sucks the energy out of you because everybody so worried about everything else now instead of what it was built on. Like your game, competing, winning, going out there, giving everything you got. It's like everybody's so caught up in all the shit that don't matter anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I'm wearing motherfuckers in the mirror, fixing this, doing that, exfoliating and all this shit. It's like,
Exfoliating for the game is crazy. That's crazy. Exfoliating for the game is crazy.
Telling you, bro, like, from that standpoint, all that's done changed, and it's like everything used to built on wanting to compete, like the shit you do on the court. Now it's so much of everything you do off the court that seems much more important than anything.
The entertainment side of the game is spilling over onto the NBA court now. And that really starts at the youth level. There's a bunch of kids in these AAU tournaments. As soon as they score, they're looking for the camera to point at it and do a celebration dance. This shit is kind of getting out of control, but this is why Adam Silver is starting up a league in Europe, is which in a way will begin to become a backdoor for players to professionalize in the States at a young age. The really top of the top level talent that are age 13, 14, 15, they could possibly participate in the NBA's European League and play for all the youth club teams starting at age 13, 14, 15, and then have a direct line to get into the NBA because that league will be affiliated. So Adam Silver and the league in a way are beginning to control the pipeline for guys to get into the league. Because as the years go by, they don't want more and more players coming in and turning out like LaMelo Ball, no disrespect, just playing freestyle ball, and as soon as he plays a little bit of defense, he's injured. And also him being 5 years into his career, he has virtually no impact on the NBA.
This newer generation, right? It's such a disconnect between generations, especially in sports. So whereas though this generation could change the narrative on that.
Yeah.
The way that they stream now, right? All they have to do is go on there and do their own research. Stream the highlights, stream Pat Ewing, stream Mitch, what's my man named Mitch Richmond? Like stream these guys. Sit there and watch old clips and do the same shit you would do if you were streaming anything else. I guarantee you their perspective would be a lot different.
But just like Chauncey said.
But I start seeing them do that in music. I seen a young boy that was streaming. He was doing it. He went back to stream Nas because he was like, man, everybody keep talking about Nas. He's like, let me go do my own research.
Right.
And he sat there and listened to the whole Nas shit. And he was like, yo,
this is crazy.
This is crazy. This is one of my new favorite rappers. I didn't even know that. This is a younger kid who's streaming. I think we can get to that.
Yeah, for sure.
If we allowed in this younger generation streaming.
We also...
And it's unfortunate for a star like Anthony Edwards to make comments that Michael Jordan was playing against a bunch of farmers in the 90s. It kind of shows you how some of the players of today are not necessarily savants at the game. Even though they look up to guys like Kobe, who can name players at least 20 years before he got into the league and what they did and what made them special. This is normally where they craft certain portions of their game and try to apply it and even bring it up to a higher level in today's modern game.
We can get to that.
Yeah, for sure.
If we allowed in this younger generation streaming.
We also, they're giving the bag so much younger. Like, they're not worried about the superstars and the guys on the team or they just trying to get to the bag early. So they just trying to promote themselves. You know what I mean? Or they might look at somebody that might not be in the league and be like, oh, he nice, play one-on-one or whatever, and think of him like he's one, like we thought of the Mitch Richmonds. Which is...
I mentioned Mitch because Mitch was nice.
Yeah, of course.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mitch is nice. T-Mac brought up Mel Tinsley.
Cole.
And people went crazy. But go really look at Mel Tinsley. And you'll see why Kyrie was inspired by somebody like Tinsley. Like, don't just jump out the window and say Nas, and debate some shit. Like, really go back and do some research and utilize your platform. You streaming anything else. My point is, there's certain people, and I mentioned very specific names. There's certain players from all of them old eras that you can still respect, whether the game was different or not.
Of course,
You respect the skill set.
Strickland.
There's a lot of niggas back in the day who got skill sets that could translate into any era. So I'm saying go back and look at that. Fuck watching how slow, the Bob Cousy dribbling left with the right. You know what I'm saying? But you can respect the art. You can respect the skill set that a lot of these players had that don't get the attention that they deserve. So that's I just like to connect the dots.
And those players of the past didn't have the freedom that the players of today have. With the shot selection, how fast the game is, the freedom of movement. A lot of today's play styles will be considered violations. Something as simple as a spin move, or even just fumbling the ball for a split second on a fast break. Let's say someone passes it to you and you just fumble it for a quick second. That would be considered a travel. But it is what it is. This was a nice little timeline to see the intersection between coaches going down the pecking order in the NBA hierarchy. I would say back in the day, it was the head coach, then the superstar, then co-star. Today, it's the superstar, co-star, then head coach. And we could pinpoint the year 2003 when LeBron came into the league as when those powers intersected. They actually met at the same point, but the player side of that spectrum was actually going uphill and the coach's powers were actually going downhill. As money continues to come into the NBA from whether it be media or streaming or even the inflation of just NBA franchises being worth billions, it's only going to skew these dynamics even further in the superstar player's direction. But we'll see how they handle it. Hopefully it doesn't mess around too much with the level of competition. That's something that Adam Silver in the NBA will have to juggle.